Hello wood technology students. We're going to have a look at some practical stuff today, in particular cross-halving joints, okay? And we'll go through that process now in a moment. So a guide to making a cross-halving joint. So what is a cross-halving joint? Well, essentially it's two pieces of timber that are crossing over, and we have a number of processes from marking out to cutting to processing material to actually get the two pieces to fit and join. So you can see here, if I was marking out, I would have my piece of timber. I would mark my face side and face edge with the looping legs, and then I would use a tri-square and a ruler to apply measurements and square them around the piece. Now, generally speaking, the width of that trench, which is the area to be removed, will be the width of the corresponding piece of timber to fit in. And typically, with a cross-halving joint, you'll be using two pieces of timber with the same section size. And you can see here, the red areas we would be removing out, and we would be left with the trench like so. Okay? So we just reverse that there. They were the processes involved. You would have to repeat that twice in order to have the two pieces ready to fit together. Now, most of these processes at this stage you would have some experience of. For example, with my own class, we would have done some trenching exercises. So essentially, a cross-halving joint is two trenching exercises that are joined together. And when you join them together, what we look for is a tight-fitting joint with a degree of accuracy to about 0.5 mil to 1 millimeter. Now, it takes time to get that right. When mass producing wood, okay, we got to think about our environmental impact as well. So we're going to have a look at the stages involved. So as I've discussed, we'll just take one stage at a time. So the first thing you would work off is a working drawing or a plan of the particular sequence of work. So we've marked the face side and face edge and labelled both pieces, A and B. So before processing the cross-halving joint, it is best practice to create a working drawing with relevant dimensions, as well as a sequence of work to ensure accuracy, efficiency, and execution of all processes. Now, we use a tri-square, ruler, and pencil to locate and mark the width of the cross-halving trench around. So as you can see here, I'm mimicking the process of physically using the tri-square with the piece of timber in the correct manner to ensure that we can mark on the correct width for the joint. And as you can see, the final outcome there. Step 3. Using a steel ruler, set out the appropriate depth on the marking gauge. And a marking gauge is a tool that we use for marking depths along the edge or main surface of a piece of timber. This gives us an accurate line, particularly when we're running with the grain. So we set the depth to our marking gauge to whatever depth the cross-halving joint is going. Typically that's going to be half the depth of the timber that you are working with. So with that then, we move on to the vise. We put the timber in, we take our tenon saw, and sawing on the waist side of the line, we produce a series of cuts. Okay? So one lining up against the inside line of one side of the marking out, and one lining up against the inside of the other side of the line on the marking out. And we cut down in a triangular motion. Okay, and then we cut straight down to make sure that that line is all the way down. We then use a chisel to remove the material, one little piece at a time. Okay, taking 2 or 3 mil and almost removing triangular sections and leaving a section in the middle to be cleaned out. That section in the middle to be cleaned out, we've got to be very careful there to not break out the material on the other side. Okay, we clean it up, we get it as level as we can. You can see I have some tips there as well. And what you can do then is you can clean it up and fit them together as in steps 7 and 8. Well, I hope you enjoyed the lesson, okay, and produce that worksheet and